All right, welcome back to the channel again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for coming over now. As I said before, as the news comes out, I will try my best to react to it, cover it. This says, huge Jay-Z and Jane Doe private deal revealed. This is from TMZ. Look, man, I don't know what's about to be said in this video, but there was a lot of speculation that somebody got to her, to the Jane Doe. If this is the same Jane Doe we've been talking about, because the story was really weird. The father saying he don't know what the hell the daughter was talking about. It just seemed very odd and strange. So let's see what they got to say here, man. Again, stuff is alleged, but hey, we ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
So this is crazy, but Tony Busby, who has filed a gazillion lawsuits against Diddy, not related to the criminal case, but filed all sorts of lawsuits. There have been a lot of issues surrounding him with, in particular, one woman who made a claim both against Jay-Z and Diddy.
Exactly.
Who then dropped the claim, and Jay-Z is...
And also remember, if you guys see any chops, any chops in here, it's because of certain words they say. I always have to give that disclaimer, because if they say certain things, I cannot leave that in the video. All right, like SAR and yeah, y'all know.
Now suing that woman and Tony Busby for defamation. Well, Tony Busby says, you have no right to sue me. He has gone to court saying, Judge, dismiss this lawsuit against me because we had a deal, comma, bro, exclamation point.
What?
Just to be clear, the bro is not a quote from the lawsuit, but it is the tone of what Tony Busby is saying in these documents. He's saying that, when they agreed to drop, well, I shouldn't even use the word agreement. Well, that is the issue here, is that Tony Busby is saying he and Jay-Z and Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, had an agreement, and that agreement was that Tony Busby and the Jane Doe accuser were going to go into court and dismiss that lawsuit, and in exchange, that's the way he makes it seem in these documents, in exchange, Jay-Z would have his investigators back off the Jane Doe accuser. In these documents, they say that days after the lawsuit was dropped, investigators showed up at this woman's house.
Okay, so stop for a second. So explain this to me. I just heard what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Where in this agreement did it say that Jay-Z's not going to sue Tony Busby for defamation?
Yeah, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. And by the way, they're saying there was an agreement. To be fair, Jay-Z's side is saying there was
no
never
agreement.
an agreement.
But let's assume for a second there actually was. Let's say there was, even though Jay-Z's team is saying BS. Let's say there was. Where does Tony Busby have a right to dismiss the defamation lawsuit because private investigators continued on the hunt for what they say is the truth involving the woman?
Right.
He may have a countersuit, but if there were an agreement.
Grounds for dismissal.
It's not a grounds for dismissal.
Now, we should say there are a couple of other things he put in there for the grounds of dismissal, which he says they sued in the wrong court.
Okay, well, that's a whole other thing. If they sued in the wrong court, they just refiled in the right court.
Well, and this is not a straight up breach of contract kind of, you have to dismiss because that's what our contract said, but he is pointing out that there was this agreement. Now,
what agreement? What agreement?
I will explain. Jay-Z's lawyer describes this very differently. He says, look, I got a call from Tony Busby's lawyer who said he wanted to negotiate a dismissal, and I told him in no uncertain terms that Jay-Z would not negotiate any sort of settlement about this. However, that lawyer said, okay, we'll voluntarily dismiss the suit, and then your sanctions motion against us for all this bad behavior should kind of go away as well. He thinks that's what the agreement was, that you would walk away from trying to get sanctions against us, whereas Jay-Z's lawyer says, look, our sanctions motion...
Derek, is that in his head? Is that in his head, or...
Boy, he be cutting people off, don't he? I'm just trying to think, like, okay, say this wasn't something that was written, like a written agreement, but like one of those like handshakes. Like, I just still find it crazy though that it was dismissed. Why would you dismiss this if she's saying that her story is real? I told y'all before, if people are lying, if these things are not true, there has to be some type of consequences. I said that. All right. You can't just be making up stories or trying to do money grabs. But on the flip side of that, there's always the intimidation. Dealing with powerful people, how easy it is to pay people off. Allegedly, that's what's being speculated. That's what I'm saying. This is so weird and so strange. Is this going to prevent other people from speaking out? Are they trying to make an example of her? I don't know. At one point, it seemed sure, like it was promising. Now it's kind of like I don't know what the hell is going on. But I think Busby is almost saying like we had a handshake agreement, and if that's the case, then it's easy for Jay-Z and them to say, "Nah, I don't remember agreeing to nothing."
My understanding is usually if you really had an agreement, you put it in writing and you sign it.
And when they filed the dismissal,
Here's the paperwork, Your Honor. Here's the paperwork.
It is certainly not a negotiated settlement like that. There is no contractual deal that we can look at this paperwork. There's a series of phone calls and maybe emails, it sounds like.
What fakakta situation is it where a lawyer says, you're not going to sue me, but we're not going to really put it in writing?
I just said that.
This is
not the way lawyers do deals. You're right about that. To rely on a couple of phone calls and handshakes, that's not the way lawyers do things. We write it down so that we can.
I'm telling you, that's why this seems very strange and odd, especially on Busby's part. Like, you gotta get that in writing, and that's what I'm saying. Like, something is just off about this. Definitely, man.
Look to it and say you breached it down the road. So you're right. This is very loose and informal. If you really wanted to rely on that, probably should have gotten it in writing.
Well, and he's not even saying you agreed not to sue us. He never. If he's going to make the argument that there's an agreement, the agreement has to be you agreed not to sue us for filing the lawsuit in the first place.
You're right. Although the spirit of the deal, according to that guy, was
you
drop it and you leave us alone.
Spirit. That law doesn't work that way with spirit. You know that, Derek.
Is it also, can I just ask you guys, as attorneys, I'll ask you, is it weird for an attorney like Tony Busby to try to broker something with Jay-Z where Tony Busby's client is going to drop her lawsuit and Tony Busby is going to get some benefit from it?
Not weird. I mean, this happens all the time.
But
where there's
why would Tony Busby get some? Why should he benefit from
malicious? Because the argument is malicious prosecution, and that's what Jay-Z said from the jump in this case.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, lawyers do this a lot, where lawyers will say, look, let's have a mutual dismissal and we agree not to go after the other party in the future. They've done, I mean, that's not uncommon. It's just, that's not this case.
My point is that it's almost like Tony Busby, according to Jay-Z's side, was using his client in order to get some benefit for himself, which is, don't go after me in court and my client will drop her suit.
Well, no. It could be, look, I mean, here's the way it could have worked. That Tony Busby could have said to Jay-Z's lawyer, look, we're going to have we will dismiss with prejudice, but you agree not to file a malicious prosecution lawsuit because that could be against the lawyer and the client. So agreed not to file against either of us, and we'll go about our merry way.
But that didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
And Jay-Z's side said there was no deal whatsoever. Just to be
Right.
clear, Jay-Z says he did not settle this at all. He did not pay 1 cent to that Jane Doe accuser.
Never
or
made an
Tony
agreement
Busby,
with him.
And never made an agreement.
And even if there was this agreement, it doesn't make sense. It's not going to get dismissed.
Hi, my name is Kyra, and I'm from Columbus. I think that Tony Busby is probably doing what my mother used to say, writing a check you can't cash. This is a game you don't want to play with somebody who has endless amounts of resources. And when you're coming with these type of very damaging claims, you have to have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And he should know that as a lawyer. So good luck, Tony. But it sounds like you might be getting sued, brother.
Yeah.
See ya.
Well, he's getting sued.
He's already getting sued. He's not getting out of it.
He's not getting out of it for this. Okay, I love this next story.
Wow, man. Like, this is why I been watching so many videos, and as new information come out, I try to watch and watch and watch. That's why it's been so many videos on my channel, because like I said, every day or every other day is something new. Now they're saying that Jay-Z said he did not pay her any money. I'm just saying, when she said her story and then the father, that's when it got weird, when the father got involved and said what he said. Because I'm like, ain't no way a father is going to allow this from the daughter to be going here and I'm about to pick you. It just sound really weird. Really weird. And they're saying, you know, for Busby to take on this case and not do all of his due diligence to really investigate, it is very odd and strange, man. Very odd and strange. All I can to say to end this video is, I hope there were no lies being told on both parts. Like, if she's telling the truth and they allegedly got to her, it's going to suck, because we'll never find out what the truth is. You know? If she was lying, it's like we still won't know, because that. Let me look at a little comments here. Why did Jay-Z need a private deal if he's innocent? There are people saying, how's it a private deal when it's been everywhere over the internet? Yeah. That was the first comment. A lot of people are still saying in the comments that you know, that she was paid off. I don't think we'll ever know, man. I don't think we'll ever know, to be honest. This is tough, because I could see I just hope we don't see a pattern of this. Dismiss, like the whole Diddy situation, you know? Like, share, comment below. Peace out.